So we're going to make a guessing game together, a guess the number game. And when we run this game, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to ask for our name. And it'll ask us to guess a number between 1 and 20. So we'll take a guess 10. It will then tell us whether we're too high or too low, or if we got it right. So I'm too high, I'll guess lower. Oh, I got it in 2 guesses. Okay, so the number was 5. And if I play the game again and I keep guessing, and I keep guessing incorrectly, it will give me 6 chances before it says, nope, the number what the number it was thinking of. So to start coding this, we're going to start with our byline at the top with a comment, and I'll call this guess the number game. And we'll just put our name. And to start this, because we need to generate a random number, we're going to need a library in Python appropriately named random. So I'm going to type in import random, and it's going to bring the random library so we can use it. We're also going to keep track of the guesses that our user takes, and we'll call that variable guesses taken. And to start, we're going to assign it the value 0, so it is an integer. Here I've prompted the user for their name and got the input, and the default input will be a string, and I've assigned that to a variable called myname so that we can talk back to the user using what they've typed in for their name. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to generate the random number. So we're going to go number, which is the name of the variable we're going to call a random number, and it's going to be equal to random, which is the library we imported, dot rand int, because we want to generate a random integer, open bracket 1, comma 20. So this will generate a random number between 1 and 20 and assign it to the variable number. Okay, next I've prompted the user here with a print statement saying well and their name, and I've concatenated the string my name with the other string I'm saying so it'll fit right in, and I'm telling them that I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 20. So now we want to create the loop where we're going to ask the user to guess a number, and then we're going to check whether they're right or not, and if they're too high, we'll tell them they're too high. If they're too low, we'll tell them they're too low, and if they're right, we'll end the loop and tell them that they're right. Also, if they're guessed too many times, we want to stop it as well. So we're going to start with what we call a while statement, and this is going to loop around and repeat our logic over and over. Now the thing we're going to control it with is we only want to allow them to guess if they have taken less than 6 guesses. So the guesses taken starts at 0, and as long as they've taken less than 6 guesses, we will prompt them. So it'll say while guesses taken is less than 6. So this is our less than symbol. So guesses is less than 6. The crocodile's mouth is biting the 6, which is bigger than guesses taken. As long as that statement is true, we'll repeat this code. Now I'm going to put a colon here at the end of my while statement, and I want to hit enter. And when I do, we can see that the cursor doesn't go back to the beginning of the next line. It actually goes 4 spaces in here. That's because 4 spaces in below this line for the while statement will be contained within the while statement, and it will run as long as guesses taken is less than 6. So we're going to have a nested bit of code inside the while loop, we call it. We call it a loop. So we're going to print take a guess, and we're going to grab that guess from the console. So we're going to allow them to guess the input. And I could have cast this as a integer, because it is going to be an integer, but I could also do it after. So I could say guess equals int of the guess that we just got. So that'll guess would be a string here, and now I've recast it as an integer. Next thing I'm going to do is increment our guesses taken, because they've just taken a guess. So we're going to say guesses taken is equal to, well, our previous value of guesses taken, we want to add 1 to it. So if you were in math class, you'd look at this line and say, well, this can't be possibly true. Well, this isn't really an equation, it's an assignment statement. It's taking the value of guesses, adding 1 to it, and then assigning it to the variable guesses taken, kind of overwriting what was there before. So if guesses taken was 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, and now guesses taken will become 3. Now we're going to add another control feature, an if statement, and this is going to determine what we print out depending on whether the user has guessed correctly or not. So first we're going to look at is if the user's guess is less than the number that we generated, then we're going to print out your guess is too high. So it's just like the while statement. We're going to say if guess is less than number, colon, and when we hit enter, notice how it gives us 4 spaces in from where the if statement is. So this if statement here is inside the while loop, and now our logic here is going to be inside the if statement. So if we are, we're going to print your guess is too low, and there we go. And then we're going to do an enter, enter. I want to hit backspace now because I want to check if that's not true. I want to check outside of that if our guess is greater than the number. Then we're going to print your guess is too high. Now the last thing we're going to do here, so I'm going to hit enter twice. I'm going to hit backspace because I want it not to be inside the previous if statement. I want it to be a new if statement. I'm going to go if our guess is equal, so that's 2 equals to the number, then we're going to break, and that's going to break out of the loop, the while loop. Okay, so just a couple things to go over here. Guesses taken less than 6. Either this is true or false. If it's true, we'll keep allowing the user to guess, and we'll repeat this logic here. So in a turn, we're going to take a guess, grab the input, turn it into an integer. We'll increment how many guesses they've taken, and then we're going to check to see if they're right or low or high. If they're too low, we'll say they're too low. If they're too high, we'll say they're too high. If they are right, we will break out of the loop. Now, if they take too many guesses, guesses taken will increment too much. Eventually, it will get to the value 6. So if we look here, if guesses taken is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, it is less than 6, and the statement is true, and we will keep guessing. When it gets to be 6, 6 is not less than 6, because this is absolute, so it can't be equal to. It has to be less than in total. So guesses taken less than 6 would be false, and we will stop the loop, and we will break out of this whole logic chain. So the next bit of code here, notice here I'm in line right now with the while loop, so I'm going to hit backspace to be outside the while loop for my logic when we're done the while loop. I'm going to check to see if we're right, so we're going to say if guess is equal to number. Okay, I jumped ahead here, so we just said if guess is equal to number, we're going to take our guesses taken, which was an integer, which is how many guesses we took. We're going to turn it to a string, and then we're going to print out a message saying, good job, whatever their name is. You guessed my number in so many guesses taken, that number of guesses. Now we got to say, well, if they didn't get it right, the other message, and again, this is an if statement here. I want to back off and make a new logic. So if this isn't true, it will go down to this. If we left it in line with this, it'd be only executing this line the indented code if this bit was true. So now it's a whole new check, and it's going to be if guess, and for not equals, we're going to go exclamation mark equal, and if it's not equal to the number, again colon, I hit enter, gives me that indent. This code will be executed if guess is not equal to the number. And just another print statement here. Nope. The number I was thinking of was, and we'll just put in number. Oh, that's going to cause a problem because number is a integer and I can't just stick it on the end. I could use a comma there, or I could take my integer number and make it equal to, make it to the string number. And now when I run this thing, hopefully it works. I'll go with 7, 8, 9. There we go, rock and roll.